to Leitner. Puts it up.
You're listening to the Culture State Podcast.
Get ready. Woo!
Do not mind the boxes in the background if you're watching.
Think about it. Don't mind the comic books in the background if you're watching.
If you're listening, you don't even know what we're talking about. This is the Culture State Podcast. I am Chris Lee.
And I'm Dennis Cox.
And thank you so much for watching once again. I've got my Beatles shirt on. I'm getting ready to move, and hopefully in 2 months we'll see what happens. So we're getting a head start. So don't mind the boxes in the background. This is the junk room anyway. And Dennis has his nice place set up with his figurines and his comic books and all that in the background.
I got a lot more comics on the shelf than I do figures, by the way.
Smooth bachelor pad over there.
Keyword bachelor. Keyword bachelor.
Yo, Dennis, we're going to give love to the HBCUs on this show. And one in particular, which has been absolutely representing the state of North Carolina very well in many sports. North Carolina A&T State University. Their head men's basketball coach, Will Jones, will be joining us.
We had Lavelle Moten from North Carolina Central, a rival of A&T, but you're talking about a school right now that is putting North Carolina on the map.
Yes.
How many Olympians do they have at A&T right now just from their track program? Was it 3, 4?
5?
Yeah, 5. Everybody?
Most of the team.
Exactly. Most of the team.
Their coach is a former Olympian.
Exactly. I mean, it's amazing how one school can represent not only just itself as a school, the conference, the state of North Carolina, but our whole country when it comes to arguably the most Olympic sport in track and field.
It's been very interesting to see A&T's rise just in sports, over the last 10 years. They've always, my parents went to A&T, and so I grew up kind of watching A&T and going to A&T games, and they've always been pretty good. There was a time where they dipped in football pretty bad, but they've always been pretty good in everything. But the last 10 years or so, they've really come up in a lot of sports, and it began with football.
Yeah.
You have folks like, Tariq Cohen, who's doing this thing with the Chicago Bears. You have, Brandon Parker with the Raiders. And you have, what's my man? Daryl Johnson, who plays defensive line with the Buffalo Bills, almost made it to a Super Bowl. You know what I'm saying? There's so many different people that have come through A&T and probably a few more that will end up getting drafted or signed to NFL teams coming up. And they're really making noise. The basketball team starting to really make noise. The women's basketball team has been making noise. They made it to the NCAA tournament this past year, lost to NC State, but it was NC State. So, we can kind of understand that. NC State's really good. Yeah. Shout outs to Raina Perez, by the way. And and Alyssa Kinane. I want to say a shout out to her as well. And then you also you have track. That's the track team has been doing amazing. You have guys winning national championships, winning world championships, and now going to the Olympics and setting world records. And this is all coming from Greensboro. And now we get a chance to talk to their head men's basketball coach, and they're starting to stockpile on the former 4-star high school players.
And stockpiling, and Coach Jones is going to get into this, not only guys from the transfer portal that are 4- and 5-star guys, but he's starting to get those 4-star and 5-star guys directly out of high school, which is a really a big thing, because you may get a grad transfer that comes in. I mean, that honestly, sometimes transfers that come in can be a flip of a coin, because they may only have 1 or 2 years left of eligibility, depending on where they're coming from. But when you get a kid directly out of high school, you're looking at 4 years of having that kid on your campus and being an impact of your program.
If they're not a one and done,
they're not a one and done, yes.
But you know what? That almost raises the profile as well, because if you have a kid that can come to A&T, do so well and still get drafted in 1 year, you might get more guys coming.
You might.
So it's just it's very interesting. So we'll hear a lot more from that recruiting, the profile of A&T in general from Coach Will Jones after this. All right, we have to show a little bit of Aggie pride right now. We have North Carolina A&T State University's head men's basketball coach, Will Jones, with us right now. A&T is a team that A&T is a school, has been really coming up, at the athletics world a lot lately, and basketball is just a small piece of that. So, Coach Jones, thank you for joining us. I guess first off, how does it feel to be a part of the Big South now? That it sounds weird to hear A&T and Big South, but how does it feel to be a part of it?
Hey man, we're excited. Something that many people have been talking about for the last 2 years. And me, I'm a part of the Big South again. And so, knowing the landscape of the league, the opportunity that we have, hey man, I'm a facts guy. And there hadn't been an HBCU in the country, and I'm talking about Tennessee State, and they're running the OVC, and Hampton previously joined the Big South, but HBCU hadn't won a championship, regular season championship, in a traditional league since 1994 when Tennessee State did in the OVC. So we got some work to do, and I'm primed to try to get that done here at A&T.
I wanted to ask you about this. I mean, the way that you guys leave the MEAC, I think probably is probably one of the most heartbreaking things as far as for you guys in particular. You go to the MEAC tournament. You guys are the favorite for more. A lot of people expected that it was going to be yourself, UNCG, maybe even Campbell, and maybe even Appalachian State, making it to the NCAA tournament, and then COVID-19 hits, and then you guys are taking out the MEAC tournament, and you don't get a chance to even compete for that. How did that make you guys feel, and what kind of hunger did that leave your team with? Because I see Cameron Langley is coming back. Was that a part of the decision, just the fact that your season was cut short?
Yeah, man. I mean, the last 2 years for us, as a program, when you're trying to accomplish things as a program, you start off on a mission. You give the guys the plan, the strategy to get it done, and they execute it to the T. And then something outside of your control basically eliminates you from being able to accomplish that goal. And so, for me personally, I mean, it was one of those feelings like, you lose. You know how you feel when you lose. You know how you feel when you win. But when you don't even get a chance, when you go through something and you don't even get a chance, it's a different type of feeling. And so many things are kind of just wiped under the rug. Guys' careers, coaches' careers are based on getting to that NCAA tournament and seeing what happens. You know what I mean? Coaches get contracts, players get different opportunities after they're finished to get, to be able to get into that tournament and just show what you can do. And yes, for me, it's definitely a hunger. I had a really good run, 2 years in the MEAC. I think it's been the best or the second best ever, from a first-time head coach the first 2 years. And then just, how we've elevated in the last 2 years in terms of our program. We did get a regular season championship, so we do have a ring, and the guys are excited about that. But we still are hungry as a program to get to that NCAA tournament.
Yeah, it's I'm sure you guys can sympathize with what NC State baseball is feeling, what so many other programs are feeling because of that. Like, and you guys were you guys were the favorite. You guys were the best team in the MEAC that this past season, and to be pulled out, like, my heart definitely broke for you.
Yeah, Cam, a guy like Cam, I mean, he's done everything right, on the floor and off the floor. He's silenced his critics. He's done all of those things, and I think the one thing he wants to add is a chance to play in the NCAA tournament. And we talked about it, and Cam has a really good head on his shoulders in terms of, really it's kind of like, this is a red shirt year. Some guys, when they take that red shirt year, they get that extra year, and you're like, man, that dude's good. Well, yeah, he's good because he's a year older than everybody. And so Cam coming back, and with the roster that we've been able to assemble, we're excited about the possibilities.
Now, Coach, one thing I want to know, I know you're switching to a different conference, but is that NC Central rivalry? You guys still going to keep that going, even though your conference is changing? I know they play in a different conference as well, but I want to know, is that NC Central rivalry still going to be happening?
We would love for it to continue. Everybody has to figure out their schedule in terms of how to fit it in. And I think I've talked to Coach Moten, and I don't think this year, because of scheduling conflicts, we're going to be able to make it happen. But I think the following year, we're definitely going to try to get that thing back on schedule. Yeah, I know it's tough. I mean, me and him talked a couple of times to try to see if we can figure it out, but we haven't been able to figure it out just yet.
I have faith. I have faith that it can get done. I have faith that it can get done. If games can be rescheduled on a whim like they were this past year, I have faith that you guys can get it done.
I was going to say it's one of the. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I was going to say it's a really fun game just to be in too. Like it's no environment like it.
Man, it's one. I'm going to call it the best mid-major game in the country. You know what I mean? In terms of, I don't think it's another mid-major game in the country that can rival that atmosphere and just that energy. And I think it's a no-brainer. It has to continue to happen. You guys need to call Coach Moten after you need to have him on next week and get him on here so you can put some peer pressure on him.
We'll do it.
I'll get you guys in a group text. Let's do it.
For sure.
I also want to ask you about this though, like the profile of HBCUs has been going up with a lot of big time recruits deciding to forego major schools and to take their talents to HBCUs. You guys have Duncan Powell coming in. He's a 4-star player. He looks like he's going to be amazing. But then also one thing I thought was amazing too, that you guys were able to snag Marcus Watson from the transfer portal. Now, I'm going to tell you something about Marcus Watson, Dennis, okay?
Okay, tell me.
This kid started off at West Forsyth, same high school that Chris Paul went to. Okay. He was on the bench, riding the bench at the very end of the bench in front of and who was playing in front of him were the LaRue brothers, Rusty LaRue sons, and KJ Henry, who's currently a defensive end at Clemson. He wasn't getting playing time. His mom said, all right, we're going to find you some playing time. He goes down to Beaufort, Georgia, goes from Winston-Salem to Beaufort, Georgia, becomes a 4-star. Right in the bench at Winston-Salem, goes down to Georgia, becomes a 4-star. And originally went to Oklahoma State, bounced around for a little bit, and now he's going to be at A&T and get a real chance to show what he can do on the court. Plus Duncan Powell, plus you have Cameron Langley, who I covered in high school as well, and he's really good. Led. Did he lead the country in assists last year?
Yeah, 2 years ago. Yes,
2 years ago. Mm-hmm. And so A&T is really bringing in some players, Coach. And so what is it about A&T at the moment? What is it about the movement for these 4 stars and 5 stars in some cases deciding to go to HBCUs and raising the profile of those schools?
I think I think it starts at the top. I think with us, we got to go meet them where they are. You know what I mean? You got to go try to start that conversation and ask them the tough questions. And once you have a connection there and something that can help you land one of those kids, now you got to act on it. And I think us at A&T, I think it started with that class. When we got Quay. And everybody in the country knows who Quay Parker is, and everybody in North Carolina knows who Quay Parker is. And so, in terms of the recruiting, now the kids in North Carolina are looking around like, Quay's at A&T, and then now the winning, now him hitting Sports Center, and our team, getting these highlights on our style of play, and then we landed Blake, and then now you got Quay and Blake, who kids know in North Carolina. And respect as good players, right? And then the following year, you go out, and you do what you need to do, and you get a Duncan Powell. You get a Duncan Powell. He goes on, with Stadium and Jeff Goodman, and commits on Twitter in front of all of the rest of the kids in the country. They know who he is. They know he's a top 5 player in Texas. You got to be really
Mm-hmm.
good to be a top 5 player in Texas, you
Mm-hmm.
know. And so, it's one of those things. And then in this class, with Marcus, Marcus has only played 7 to 8 games as a college basketball player. He's not on his back end. He's still a young player in terms of
Mm-hmm.
minutes on the floor, and I'm so excited about what we're getting with him. He's not a kid that's gone somewhere and hadn't gotten it done. Nah, he just hadn't played. He just hadn't
Mm-hmm.
played yet. And I think now, being an A&T, he's going to really have a chance to get out there and do his thing. And don't forget, you're going to be hearing this name, David Beatty. David Beatty, he's our only, or well, we have 2 grad transfers, but he's the only one that was a 4-star. So David Beatty started at South Carolina, and
Okay.
then he played his last 3 years at LaSalle, and he was LaSalle's leading scorer in the A10 this past year. And so we got some talent, man. And I think, if we can get the chemistry right and get these guys playing for one goal, we're going to be this version 3, man, of my career, this team. It's going to be pretty good.
All right, so let's count this up with the 4 stars. Duncan Powell, he had Marcus Watson, Beatty. Was Blake a 4-star in high school?
Blake, yes, Blake was a 4-star.
And then Quay Parker, was Quay a 5 or a 4?
Quay was a 4 too.
So yeah, 5 4-stars on his team. That's crazy.
5 of them.
Some ACC teams don't have that many.
Yeah.
Hey man, you got to get in where you fit in.
I want to ask you about the recruiting process with somebody like Duncan, because everybody else is coming in through transfer, but Duncan, you literally just getting him straight from high school. And I've seen
Yes,
interviews with other coaches before who have said, they go up, talk to a player maybe at an AAU tournament or whatever, and it's like, hey, who are you getting offers from or whatever, and they'll mention like an ACC school, and they're like, well, okay, cool, good to talk to you, because they know they don't have a chance. But this is a 4-star, and not only did you like not back up off of him, like you kept going, and he ended up choosing you guys. At like what about A&T, and then also what about the chemistry with him in particular lets you know early that, hey, I can continue to go after this kid and have a chance to land him, and not just back up because he's going to have big SEC, Big 12 and ACC schools on him.
yeah. So my goal, if you go back, HBCU game day did an interview when I first took over at A&T, and I said, we've been able to get the transfer kids. We've been able to get the transfer 3 and 4-star kids. My goal, you really start to hit a dent when you can get a high school kid. When you can get a high school kid that's a 4-star, that's when you start. That's when you know something's going on, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, it started at Jacksonville. When I was at Jacksonville, I started, going after some of these high-profile kids to come to our program, and and I got to A&T, and the infrastructure, the campus, the academics. I always say, man, if the top engineer can come to A&T, right? If those kids can come. I'm talking about some of the best in the world. These kids are coming to A&T and accomplishing their goals, and the best basketball player can come, right? And so you got to be able to show that they can survive, and we have the resources there that they can continue to accomplish their goals. But in Jacksonville, I started training Udoka as a Buki. He was in high school, and so the year, we lost our job at Jacksonville, and I was out a year. I was coaching high school basketball, so I was still in the city, and so I started training Udoka as a Buki. And with training him, I you always recruit and you're not around some of these high profile guys all the time on a day-to-day basis. But I was around Udoka every day. And I was able to see that even though this dude's a top 10 player in the country, like, he's just a kid. Like, he's just like the kid that's ranked 500th in the country. And so it's no different. Sometimes as coaches and recruiters, even as people, we think that these kids, just because they're rated so high, like they're different, like, species or whatever. Like they don't have the same issues as normal kids. And I started to realize, man, this kid has the same issues. He's joking just like a regular kid. Like, even though he's a good basketball player, he is still just a kid. And that helped me just in my mind be able to have conversations with these kids on the phone that can relate and that can help us have a common bond, our common, focus that I can, entice him to be a part of our program. And Duncan had a connection. His cousin played at A&T.
Okay.
Duncan's from North Carolina. And so he
Okay.
wanted to get back close to home. And I asked him, I said, hey, man, listen, are you going to be interested in the HBCU? If you want me to recruit you, I'm going to recruit you harder than anybody in the country. And he said, Coach, I'm interested. I want you to recruit me. And we went in there and we tussled, man. We tussled with, SEC schools and Atlantic 10 schools and Big 12 schools. And I thought we were going to lose them late. But, DePaul came in. They just had a really good year. They just had a kid, Obi, that just, had an unbelievable year. I think he won a National Player of the Year. So they had a lot of momentum. And, but he ended up choosing us, man. And, he's on campus right now.
Wow.
One thing I will say real quick, as I coach at Meredith College with the lacrosse team there. So I totally understand about being able to connect with the young kids. I totally get what you're saying about that, and just being able to understand who they are as people and trying to have those conversations with them outside of what they do for us on the field, or for your case on the court, and really trying to get to know them on a personal level. It really is vital to really connect with these kids, when they are just 16, 17 years old.
Yeah, man, they're just normal kids. They like to play video games.
Yeah.
They're telling jokes. They're on Snapchats with the rest of the kids. And their friends aren't 5 stars, right? Their best friends aren't 5 stars, right? Their best friends are the kids that grew up in their neighborhoods that probably don't even play, sports or have a chance to play at the Division I level. And so, it's one of those things that really helped me settle my mind and not have any anxiety about going in and recruiting some of these top players.
I want to ask you this, because it's how do the other programs help basketball? So like now you're going to have actually more than 2 Olympians, a few Olympians from A&T's track program. Like A&T is just killing it in track right now, and they're national champs. And you got Olympians coming from there. You have the football team, even though they didn't get a chance to play last season. A&T is always one of the favorites in the MEAC, and if not the favorite in the MEAC. And of course, they won all those Celebration Bowls. I think it was 4 Celebration Bowls in the 5 years that the Celebration Bowl was around before this, and they probably would have won it this past year if they had a chance to have it. Then you look at how Tariq Cohen, and he's doing a good job in the NFL, and Brandon Parker getting a lot of run on that offensive line for the Oakland Raiders. And you see all of these people from other sports at A&T who are really making the school a little bit more high profile. How does that help basketball when you go out and you try to sell A&T basketball to maybe a student who maybe has never heard of A&T?
Man, I call it momentum, and when I got to A&T and you go to the awards banquet and you're sitting there and every sport is being called up for winning a championship. As a coach, I'm sitting there like, yo, listen, can't come back to this awards banquet and not be with everybody else. We got to figure out how to win a championship. And so, the motivation there, but it's always good to have that momentum that you always have something to sell to kids and their families about what's going on at A&T. They turn on the TV the last 2 weeks. We got a dude on our campus that's ran the fastest time in the world in the 400. Like, that's ridiculous. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You got the football team, who's continuously in the news in terms of what they've done the last, 10 years in football. Our women's program has been winning championships. Our bowling program, our baseball, our softball team, everybody's winning. And so I can tell a kid, hey, man, you're coming into a winning culture, not just in your sport and that you play, but across the board. You're not the only top kid that's here. So it's not like you're coming and you're doing us a favor by coming. No, you're coming because you want to come. You feel this is a good place for you, and there are other kids just like you that's here. Obviously football and men's basketball are 2 high-profile sports, and people treat it that way. But we just go out there and let those kids know, man, once you hit campus, I told a kid yesterday, I said, I know you got a lot of other schools that's recruiting, but if you're interested in A&T, you can see the style of play we play. We're going to have fun out there, but when you hit campus, you'll see and feel that family atmosphere, and you want to make a 25-year decision or a 4-year decision, right? 25 years from now, that kid's coming to GHO. His family's coming with him to GHO. They're gonna pull out.
Yeah.
They're gonna pull out the grill. They're gonna be cooking out. It's gonna be a lifelong relationship versus some places that they go that they don't even go back to after 4 years. And really, that's what I sell to them and their families.
Yeah, Dennis, I gotta take you to the greatest homecoming on earth one day.
Please, I want to go.
It's
I really
legit
do.
the greatest homecoming on earth, for real. Really quick, Coach, before we end this, I wanted to ask you about NIL, and a lot of people are looking at it and how it'll impact somebody like a Zion Williamson, but you have former 4-stars, coming out of high school who are there, or you have guys that may end up, let's say, doing very well as content creators on social media. How does NIL kind of, well, first off, what are your feelings on NIL? But then also, how do you think kids can potentially benefit at A&T?
NIL is definitely different for everybody, not just the players. I mean, this is a different time. I think I was still in, maybe a freshman in high school when in college when O'Bannon started talking about, playing the college football game and wanting to get paid off of that, college basketball. And, and so my thing is, with NIL is, if these kids, if we all can understand the benefits of it, I think it's a great thing. I think what happened with Congress and them not really acting on it, that now the universities are trying to figure out how to get it done. And in the back piece of it, like you're starting to see Don Staley come out and say, hey, guys, be careful. You can screw up your financial aid. You can have tax problems down the road.
Mm-hmm.
Dion, who was pushing it so hard, he came out this week early and said the same thing. And so I think that the more we dive into it, we got to try to figure out, we don't want to put these, I call it fast money, right? We don't want to get these kids fast money now, and later they don't understand that the grown-up side of it, and you got to go pay that IRS, that bill, you know what I'm saying, that may appear, right? And so I just think we just need to continue on a day-to-day basis, us people, us grown-ups, these people that are in power to make these rules and decisions. We got to figure out how to do it so these kids don't trap themselves. Like a kid like Duncan who for HBCUs, I mean, he was telling me, Coach, when I committed, all these different businesses were calling him, talking to him, hitting him up on social media because he became like, a poster boy for the HBCU. You know what I mean? And so, people, were sending them, different things and different items and, and it was one of those deals. So a kid like him, I want him to be able to capitalize on that. I do, but I want him to make sure that, him capitalize on it doesn't hurt him 5-10 years down the road.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We will get a chance to see you in the 919. I do miss being in the 336, but we will get a chance to see you in the 919 when you guys come to Campbell at some point. So I'm looking forward to that. And then hopefully,
looking forward to it.
Yeah, hopefully we can get the NC Central game to happen once again really soon.
Definitely,
Yes.
man. I appreciate you guys having me on, man, and good luck to you. Help it. Wish us luck. We're gonna try to get this thing done in the Big South.
Appreciate it, Coach Will Jones from A&T men's basketball coach. Look out for him this coming season. All right, Dennis, what did you learn from that?
I learned that we need to make the NC Central A&T basketball game happen right now. We need to make sure that gets on the schedule because that rivalry cannot go away.
And I need to take you to homecoming.
Yes. Well, yes. We've talked about this before. I do need to go to the greatest homecoming on earth.
We'll have to look at the football schedule. If it looks like there's a chance we could be back on radio coming up very soon. Hey, but maybe I was going to say
we're just out there live. Maybe
I was going to say maybe the powers that be will let us go out there, and just do a live hit right there at A&T with the band in the background, right there at the tailgate.
Wait, are we taking Culture State on tour? Because I think we should just take Culture State on tour across the state of North Carolina.
I think we should, honestly.
I'm for it.
I mean, I would love to hit a UNC homecoming, an NC State homecoming, an A&T homecoming.
Yeah. I
wouldn't even mind an Elon homecoming, an Appalachian State homecoming, an East Carolina homecoming.
I'm there.
UNCG has homecoming, but we don't have a football team. But that's okay, though. We could still go to the other schools.
UNCG's homecoming is basically North Carolina A&T's homecoming, right? Is that basically it?
In some ways, yes, but we do have an actual homecoming, but our big game is a soccer game. But anyway, A&T is really coming up in the world. And I'm glad that Coach Jones gave us a little bit of his time. And another NC State connection.
Yes.
Coach Jones on his staff has Sam Hunt. Sam Hunt started off at North Carolina A&T, went and he did a grad transfer to NC State, played under Coach Keats, and was there for a couple years as a grad assistant. Now he's back at A&T as an assistant role. So, and then, Blake Harris, who's from Chapel Hill, started off, I think, at Missouri, went to NC State, now at A&T. He's a 4-star. So there's a lot of NC State connections there as well.
The connection across the state just continues to grow further and further, Chris.
Of course, man. We got to stay connected. Shout outs to A&T. Shout outs to the HBCUs. Man, I cannot wait to take you to a homecoming one day. Like, bring all your energy and just be ready to be up all and out all day. For real.
I've been told it is an experience I would never forget if I do end up going.
You can be the single guy, and if you have maybe some people twerking on you, you might have
these hips do not lie. I'm up for a twerk challenge. I might win. Just saying.
No, you don't have to twerk. I'm saying
I don't.
They will twerk.
Because I will. I'll do it. I'll do it, Chris. I've done it. I know. I've seen me do it.
You're going to try to out twerk the twerkers?
Don't know until you try, man. Don't die wondering, man.
You might get a cup passed to you, Just drink what's in the cup. You'll like this. There's different plates of meat that's out there that you probably get a chance to sample.
Some ribs, some pulled pork, maybe. Some
fried fish,
All right.
All that. So it's a fun time. It's a party. It feels like a family atmosphere, and it's really fun. And get a chance to see some good football at the same time because A&T more than likely will win. So shout outs to I got to hear you say it though. We have to do it right. You have to say Aggie pride. I got to hear you say it like that.
Aggie pride.
Hey, that was good. That was good, man.
Here's the thing, Chris. I don't mess up school chants.
Oh, get out of here. Thank you guys for listening to the Culture State. I'm Chris Lee. You can follow me at Chris Lee TV. My last name is spelled Lea on all the social medias.
I'm Dennis Cox. You can follow me at the Fan Rookie. Yeah, follow me. Follow me. I'll go ahead and repost the video of Chris screwing up his own school's chant.
Oh my gosh.
NCG. We'll post that video again. Don't worry. You can also follow us at Culture State Pod. That's on Twitter and Instagram as well. And follow us, download it, subscribe, and leave us that thick 5-star review.
Let me say this. A&T people don't like when I say this, but I'm from UNCG, so I do feel like A&T's homecoming is my homecoming.
Okay.
And I like to say UNCG ho. Like UNCG and then G ho. UNCG ho? Okay.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, I guess you didn't get it. UNCG. UNCG. Fight. Got it right. Thank you, guys.
Hey, congrats. Chris got his own school's chant right. Everyone, round of applause wherever you're listening. We'll hear it.
Get out of here.
The Culture State Podcast, part of the Capital Broadcasting Podcast Network, with new shows coming out every Wednesday. Download and subscribe from wherever you get your podcasts, including the WRAL Sports Fan app.